Hey guys, welcome back. So today I am starting a short series, a week-long series of like a financial week in the life. So it's going to be what we spend and how we save. I've done videos about our spending and stuff before, and usually I think, oh, I'm going to be so frugal, we're going to show all these things, and then life happens. And so we end up spending money that we didn't anticipate, and I think that's just the way things go. So I have no expectations for the way this is going to go. It's just going to be kind of what we're doing, what it's like. I'm always interested to see how other people manage their finances, what they choose to spend money on, how they save. And so I'm just going to share my experience over the next 7 days. So today's Wednesday when I'm starting, and we're going to go through Tuesday. Tomorrow is payday, so we will pay ourselves in the morning, pay bills, and it's also our errand day, so we will be out and about and spending money then. But today I'm not planning on spending any money, at least yet. You never know what's going to come up. So we're just at home today. We have been super busy the last week or so, but today is a home day. So it's also a rainy day. So we got up this morning and we had breakfast. I made Dutch baby and I put blueberry syrup on it that we make with it's just blueberries covered in water with a cup of sugar, and then thickened with a cornstarch slurry that we put over top of our Dutch babies. So we did that for breakfast. It's almost lunchtime now. I thought I would get to talk to you before now, but my oldest son came home and he was very talkative, so I've been sitting and listening to him for about the last 2 hours. So just now getting to check in, but I have leftovers from last night in the oven. We're just gonna do that for lunch, and then dinner I think is going to be either ham, potatoes, and cabbage, which is soup, or a ham pot pie. We had ham on Sunday, and the leftovers are still in the fridge, so I'm going to pull them out, pull the meat off, and I think I'm going to put the bone and the fat and gristle and stuff in the Instant Pot and let that make another batch of broth, and then we will pull that off and do some kind of a soup for dinner since it's rainy. And it's supposed to be getting hot here soon. Today is May 13th, so it's about time. It's going to start getting warm and we're not going to want soup as much, so we're going to do that for dinner. What else? So I will show you some things other than just eating at home that we are doing to save money and not spend. So since it's raining, we're hanging laundry inside. We've got the rack here, and then over there our lines are full. I did end up putting one load into the dryer, but most of it, 3 loads, have been hung up inside. So one thing that has really been a focus for us in the last several months is getting our electricity and propane usage down. Those are our utilities, and so we've been working on it. I had shared a long time ago about how we have been on a sit up here for a second. We have been on a payment plan where it's kind of like levels out our electricity bill over the course of a year for the last 20 years. And what we didn't realize, because I didn't look at the bills as closely as I should have, was that in the last few years, as the prices had gone up, for the first couple years where our prices had really gone up, they didn't charge us anymore. And so we were building this balance that eventually we're going to have to pay one way or another. And so we started looking at that. Our bills have gone up. I looked back in my budget planner, and in 2023, we were paying $175-ish, 168, 178, somewhere in there. And we didn't have a balance at that point. And then everything started going up, but they weren't charging us enough to actually account for it. And at the same time, we had Alex's camper put in where he lives on our property, and he does pay $100 of our electric bill, but it went from $178 to $400 in the last 2.5 years or so. So we're working really hard to get that usage down. He's looking for a place of his own, which will help. It's just hard to get out there as a young person, just starting out. So he's looking for that, but we got to where our actual charges last month, they actually read our meter, they only read it every other month, was $97. And so we've been working on paying down that balance. There's still, I think we are paying $269 this month for electricity, and that extra money, the extra 150 or whatever it's going to be, will go toward paying off our balance, which is now under $400. So that is a good thing. I will be glad to have that paid off, but we have been just working on decreasing that. And so we've been turning off things more consistently. We have been unplugging things like our TV whenever it's not on, because there's like the little Vizio thing that's always on even when the TV's off. So unplugging our printer when it's not in use, turning off our internet thing. Is it a modem? Is it a router? I don't know. But the thing, we've been turning that off. And then the big thing is not using air conditioning unless we absolutely have to. So I can hear Alex is running. His is on, but ours is not. We have windows open more frequently. During the winter, we have supplemental heat. We have a heater that we keep in our room because it's separate from the rest of the house. And then we have a mini split that does heating and air. And we were getting lazy and not keeping the fire going overnight. And so we were spending a lot of money on electricity for heat. And so we have basically cut that completely. And then not using our dryer. So like I've told you guys so many times, we do so much laundry here. We are a 10-person household because we still do Alex's laundry where he does it in here. So laundry for 10 people, bedding for 10 people, towels for 10 people adds up to like 4 or 5 loads a day. And running the dryer for 4 or 5 loads a day was really costing us a lot of money. So we are saving money today and every day by not using our dryer, not using heat and air unless absolutely necessary. So yeah, there's that. Now I am going to, as I'm waving my pen around, I'm going to sit down and look at the sales that are going on this week. Like I said, tomorrow is our errand day, and I do have a short list. I didn't bring it back here. The kids are being really loud, so I have the door shut. But I'm going to go through the ads for this week and see where we need to shop or if there's anything that we need to stock up on. So in our town, we have Martin's, which is also like a giant. We have Save-A-Lot, we have Aldi, we have Walmart, which I never check flyers for Walmart. And then we have 2 discount stores, but I might check their Facebook pages. We will see. We'll be kind of that direction anyway because we have a dentist appointment in the morning, but we're going to just, yeah, we're going to see if there's anything good and kind of make a plan for how much we're going to spend. I have $220 a week set aside for groceries, so we will see what we can get for that amount of money, and I'm going to take you along with that. We're just looking at the Martin's ad for our area, and basically the only things that I saw on here that were a good deal would be the chicken breast for $2.29 a pound. They had vine ripened tomatoes for 97 cents a pound, and then they had potatoes. I think they were like $2 a bag, but I have a lot of potatoes right now, so none of that was really very interesting to me. Sometimes they have great deals and sometimes they don't, and this was definitely a not a great deal kind of a weekly ad. So that's all I have written down as possible deals. I've got on my paper for Martin's. We're going to move on and check Save-A-Lot and Aldi. So here is the Save-A-Lot ad, and it's actually the second week, or yeah, it started last Wednesday, so we're on the second week for this ad. The picnic roasts aren't a bad deal. Strawberries 2 for $5. The watermelon, we got one last week and they're really good. Pineapple, their potatoes are way cheaper than Martin's were. Onions about the same price, and then usually the second one is kind of all processed things. $1 a pound for pasta is pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and write down the things that I feel like are a good deal here. So there's the things that I wrote down as possible deals for Save A Lot. And then we're going to come over here and look at the Aldi ad. So there's mango for 69 cents. Let's see. $1.99 for the pork shoulder. Yeah, not a whole lot. Oh wait, $2.99. I guess those are bone-in chicken breasts. That's not bad. And then the rest of it is all the Isle of Shame things. So I wrote down the things that were a good deal, and then I'm just going to come over here and compare those prices to what I can get at Walmart for pickup. So then here's the comparison of the sales versus what I can get the same item for at Walmart. So up here at Martin's, the boneless, skinless chicken breast is definitely cheaper. Tomatoes were cheaper at Martin's. Butter is cheaper at Save A Lot. About the same for pasta. Just a little bit more for the cucumbers at Walmart versus Save A Lot. But Walmart's pineapples and strawberries are both cheaper than Save A Lot. Watermelon is cheaper at Save A Lot. I couldn't even find bone-in chicken breasts on the Walmart site. Mangoes are cheaper at Aldi, and the multicolored peppers are cheaper at Aldi. I don't think I'm going to go to Aldi. I don't think it's worth it for those things, but I will probably swing into Save A Lot and get a couple of those things because it's on our way. And then Martin's, I'm just going to go ahead and compare the rest of my list. I'm going to compare Martin's and Walmart and get those things wherever they are cheaper. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, well that felt like it took forever, but I am ready. I've done 2 grocery orders, so I'll show you the results of my research for this week. Okay, so I wrote down all the things that I needed. Walmart, Martin's, and Dollar General. I really thought Dollar General was going to be cheaper for a lot of things. So Walmart was cheaper for the majority of it. Last week it was the opposite. Martin's was cheaper, but Martin's was cheaper for a few things. The only thing that Dollar General was cheaper for was chili powder and barbecue sauce, and I just decided it's not really worth going there for just those. So I just did them on the Walmart order. And then Dollar Tree for these like damp rid things. They're like moisture absorbers that we use in the corners of the kids' bedrooms. We needed like 3 of those. Dollar Tree has them for $1.50. They were not cheap anywhere else. Dollar General used to have them for $1, but it didn't show them on their website. And I don't want to make a special trip in there if I don't have to. So I did 2 pickup orders for tomorrow. Walmart was a total of $96.81. $75.29 of that is food. $21.52 is household items. Martin's was a total of $49.10, $41.16 of that was food, and $7.94 was household. So far I've spent $116.45 on food and $29.46 in household items. I'll actually not include these in our spending for today though, because it won't come out until I go to pick them up tomorrow. So remaining of my $220 food budget is $103.56, and of my $40 household budget I have $10.54. And then these are the things that I'm going to go into a store for. I'm going to get 3 boxes of butter, which will be $8.97, a watermelon for $4.88, 2 pineapples for $5, and 8 boxes of pasta for $8. Will be another $26.85 toward our food budget. So we'll still have about $75 left on there to go to the discount store. And then damp bread $5, and that's with tax. It'll be about $5. So we'll have about $5 or $6 left in our household spending. So I just talked to my husband, and he's going to be home in a couple of hours, and I need to go in and work on my soup for dinner. I will probably do the pot pie tonight because he likes it, but I think I'm going to see if I have any ham soup base powder, bouillon powder. If I do, and I can pressure cook the bone to get as much flavor as I can, out of the one that I have, then I might be able to do 2 meals yet out of what's in there. We'll see what it looks like. But I'm going to go ahead and pull the meat quick, stick that in the pressure cooker, and then I'm going to work on our homeschool portfolios. I know I was supposed to do this in the last video, and I never did it, but I do want to talk for just a minute about homeschooling and the financial aspect of it. Okay, so I went and got all of my information here, and I'm just going to talk to you about what homeschooling costs us financially, and how we save money in that as well. So I have back to 2023 in front of me, and in 2023 we spent a total of $1,726.42. We had still 7 kids in school that year. That was Alex's senior year, and then the fall of that year was when Micah started. So 7 kids. So that's a little over $200 per kid per year. Now that included paper, all of our school supplies, all of our curriculum, field trips, things I bought specifically for our co-op, any kind of lessons, all that. So then in 2024, we spent a total of, $810. So a little over $100 per kid for the year. Then 2025, we spent $783. So again, just a little over $100 per kid. And then so far this year, let me see if I can find the paperwork for so far this year. We are a third of the way, or yeah, about a third of the way through the year, and we had 218 plus 48, $266 so far this year that we've spent. And actually a good portion of that was things that I sold, books that we previously had used, and rolled it into new things. I'm guessing I'll probably have $30 or $40 in school supplies yet this year, and then we will have maybe another $20 to $30 in books, and then just paper. So I'm budgeting $30 a month for education. The only other expense that we were going to have is the fee for our umbrella school. So in Maryland, you can go straight to the Board of Education and do your portfolio reviews there, or you can have an umbrella school that you're under. And so for the majority of our homeschooling career, probably the first 9 years, we went to the Board of Education, and that was fine. The Board of Education has gotten a little bit more aggressive, but the reason that we switched was because during COVID, they just were like, we're just not going to check anything. It's going to be fine. This year, we're just not checking anything. And I wasn't really comfortable with that. I felt like at some point, maybe there would be a question about what had been done, whether our kids were doing what they needed to do. And so I wanted to find somewhere that was actually, keeping records during that time. And so we found an umbrella school. It's at a church that is near us, but it's not our church. And so we go twice a year, and I turn in samples of my kids' work as well as a report card. And then everyone in 4th through 12th grade also has to turn in a book report. In Maryland, standardized testing isn't required for anyone, so we don't do that. And our umbrella school does offer a diploma program, but since I've already graduated one child, I understand how to write a transcript. I understand how to do GPA. I don't need somebody else to do that for me or to issue a diploma, because there are no state issued diplomas. Even if I do it from there, it's still just a homeschool umbrella school diploma, and that would cost us, I believe it's $25 per year per high school student. So what we do pay, I think it was $75 for our family for the entire year. And then the umbrella school just keeps records for us. They keep their samples, so we have huge portfolios for some of the kids. And if there's ever a question of what our kids are doing or whether they are keeping up with what they need to be doing, then whoever's asking questions would go to the umbrella school instead of coming directly to us, or instead of going to the Board of Education. So for us, it's just part of our homeschooling experience. I'm not sure whether we save money or spend more money as a homeschooling family, but I feel like there's a lot of expenses that we don't have because our kids are at home. And then of course there are expenses that are more because they're here. Of course our food is higher because in our county all kids get free breakfast and lunch who go to public school. Our kids don't get that. Yeah, I know there's a lot of states that have like scholarships and subsidies and things where they can get some of the state money for their homeschool. I'm not aware of anything like that in Maryland. Some of our friends in West Virginia are applying for one, and it's $4,000 per child per year. So we will have 6 kids going into the 2026-2027 school year. And if we lived in West Virginia, we could get $24,000. But as you guys saw, if we're spending $800 a year, we don't need that anyway. It would just encourage us to be frivolous. And so, yeah, like I said, that's not something that's available in our state anyway. So anyway, I'm going to go work on our portfolios for a little while. So this is the ham that I pulled off of the bones, and then all of the fat and gristle and the bones going in to make some broth. I'm just turning it here from pressure cook over to the soup and broth function. I'll let it cook for 45 minutes. And then I'm going to start my pot pie noodles. Here's the recipe, but you'll notice there are no directions. This is more of a method. And so here are my dry ingredients into a bowl, my flour, baking powder, and salt. And I'm just going to stir that up. And then whenever that is all mixed together, I'm going to start adding in my shortening. Sometimes I use lard, but I had shortening already open in the pantry, so I just pulled that out. And I'm making a double batch for my family, so we have leftovers. So I'm doing 4 tablespoons of shortening. If you're only doing a single batch, it would be 2 tablespoons, as you saw in the recipe. And then I'm just going to use my pastry cutter to cut in this shortening. It's kind of like a biscuit dough, but there's really not a lot of fat in it, so it goes together pretty quickly. Just looking to break up the shortening or the lard, or I guess maybe you could use butter, into little like pea-sized pieces. And then we're just adding water until the desired consistency. And this time I added 4 cups, and I ended up, as you'll see, I ended up adding a little bit more flour because it was just a little bit too loose. So now we have the dough all out onto the table, and I'm just rolling it out, trying to keep it from sticking. This is softer than biscuit dough, so it might end up with some holes in it. That's okay. And you want to roll it pretty thin, like maybe 1/8 of an inch, or maybe somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch. I don't really know. You just kind of do it by feel. But I'm rolling it all out evenly, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it. And I like to just use my pizza cutter to go ahead and cut this into squares. I've also used like a bench scraper. I don't usually use a knife since it is on my dining room table, and I don't want to end up damaging anything. But I'm just cutting them into squares that are probably 1.5 or 2 inches each direction. So here are the pot pie noodles, and they are going to rest while I finish making the rest of the soup. So in this pot we just have ham broth and some bouillon powder and carrots and potatoes, and I'm going to stir this up and let it cook just at a boil until the vegetables are fork tender. And about this time it started to rain. Now I'm just working on my husband's iced tea for his lunches. I decided that we were not buying soda anymore, and so I'm making him sweet tea. It's still not great for him, but at least I can pronounce all of the ingredients and it's a whole lot cheaper. So I just do this for him to take with him whenever he goes to work. And now the soup is at a rolling boil and has been boiling for a little while. So I'm going to test how the doneness, and this did not work well trying to do this one-handed with the fork in my right hand. But you can see there the carrots are tender, and I assure you the potatoes are as well, even though I could not get a fork into them doing it this way. So then all the noodles had sat and the vegetables were done, so we just put them into the pot, drop them into the liquid. It kind of stopped the boiling for a minute, but we're going to bring it back to a boil and cook it for like 5 to 10 minutes until the noodles are at the desired consistency. And at the same time, we're also adding in the ham because you don't want it to cook that whole time with the vegetables since it's already cooked. It would get really stringy and tough, so we're just going to stir that in and let it cook for these last few minutes, and then it'll be time to serve dinner. Here we're just sitting down to dinner, and this is what the finished product looks like. Everyone in my household loves this dinner. So we finished up with dinner, and I'm just going to sit here and read for a little bit and then show you the book that I picked out to read tonight. So this book I've had for a while. I'm just going to go back through it for inspiration. It was originally put out in 1975, and it's still applicable today. So I thought I would share through this some of my favorite books in case you all are looking for inspiration as well. So that's the end of day 1. And today we spent $0, and I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and I will see you again tomorrow morning.